Hello everyone, Gaara here and welcome to a new deck tech video. The end of the season is pretty close. It's 3 days left and a lot of people keep asking me like what is the best deck to climb, what is the best deck to get ladder, what is the best deck to get the fastest to legend. And yeah, I kind of like wanna show you a deck today which is very successful. I don't know for how long, since the meta is changing all the time and people adopt very fast, and yeah, I will go over that in a bit. This is a deck from Sjow. He's also streaming. He's playing warrior mainly. It's like his main class, and he's climbing with it very successfully. He's like rank 2 legend on EU right now, and many people have copied this deck. For example, Forsen, he climbed like 1,000 ranks, and other people are playing this. And I was watching like Battle of the Best and or Hero of Cards, and then you already saw people playing warrior mirror matches with Hogger, and yeah, that's also like the main extraordinary exception in this deck, which is Hogger, and I'm going over this on a bit. So I'm going over this deck list here. It's exactly his deck, and he hasn't changed it for like a couple days now, so I think it's still good like how it is right now. It has the double execute, double shield slam, which is pretty standard in any control warrior deck. And yeah, you will probably see those 4 removal cards in any warrior control deck in an unforeseeable future. The double fury Winex is such a very important card, especially against Hunter, Shaman, and Zoo. You will always mulligan for this card. Once you have this card in your starting hand, you're good to go in those matchups. And don't be demotivated. Like when you play warrior and you lose to a hunter, for example, because you had terrible draws. Let's say you get these Seras, Ragnar's, Grommash in your starting hand, or Sludge Belchers, Hoggers, Sylvanas. Like you have to keep in mind that you really need cards like Unstable Ghoul and, well, this deck doesn't have Unstable Ghoul, but you Armor Smiths and Fury Warx. When you have like those early game cards in your hand against those decks like aggro decks or hunters, it it increases your win chance dramatically. So when you lose those games, you have to keep in mind when you didn't draw your Fury Warx in your starting hand that yeah, it was expected that you will lose those matchups, or that you have a much tougher time to win those matchups. So yeah, it's very important that you play a lot of games and be aware of how good your hands were, because it is a control deck, and if you play against aggro decks and you have a bad hand, you, it just yeah, it's just more likely that you have a slower start as a control deck, and it's very important to be aware of it. So it has the armor smiths with cool taskmasters, pretty standard. It's a little bit more uncommon now to have double taskmaster, because yeah, a lot of people used to cut one taskmaster. You first cut the wheelmans and then you cut one taskmaster to play the unstable ghouls. But since you don't have the unstable ghouls, you will not have too much synergy with the acolyte of pain, so you play the taskmaster not just for the Grommash, but also for the card draw and also for the removal, because your acolyte of pain will have free attack and it kills most of the small creatures. You play Owl instead of Spellbreaker. A lot of people played one Spellbreaker, but yeah, after watching Sjow and his explanation, it's much faster, and later on you can do other things, like you can owl like in Sylvanas or something and just play something else because it's very cheap. I've seen also Colento playing this in his control paladin decks, owls, just because you can also do other things in the same turn. It's much cheaper, and it's a very good counter to Undertaker. For example, Spellbreaker is way too slow to silence an Undertaker, because Undertaker gets out of control. It would save you a lot of HP if you silence an Undertaker as soon as possible. It's also an answer to Mad Scientists and Haunted Creepers. It's very important to run at least one silence in almost any deck right now. The sheep blocks for heals, best heal in the game. It draws your card. It has nice synergy with Shield Slam. The Acolyte's just perfect in a warrior deck. BGH, I talked with KitKats or listened to KitKats, and Sjow is also really good warrior. It's like you have to play one BGH, especially when you play ladder. You will face a lot of hand locks because they're supposed to counter you, and it is a very nice removal for the Ragnaros. Also, in a mirror match, you want to have the removal for Ragnaros, Grommash, all those cards, or even Baron Geddon, since almost everyone plays Baron Geddon now. Since almost everyone is copying this deck, and on top of that, you have the synergy with Cruel Taskmaster. Since you play two Cruel Taskmaster, you will always be able to buff a 5 attack creature and just remove it for the BGH if you have to. It's usually not a good removal. Let's say he plays a lore, you don't want to use Cruel Taskmaster plus BGH because it's like 2 cards, but you get my point. The Dust Bite is just an exceptional card. Besides the card draw, this is the how a warrior gets a card advantage, like you kill 2 minions with the Deathbite. It's a very good answer to Sludge Belcher, since almost everyone plays Sludge Belcher. You want to play the Deathbite in turn 4 and also attack. So when someone plays a Sludge Belcher in turn 5, that's like the way how a warrior kills a Sludge Belcher, which is kind of funny. You also don't play a Black Knight in this deck. So this is just a little thing, like you can almost always expect a lower tap or Sludge Belcher in turn 5, and then you need the Deathbite with just 1 charge on it, so to kill those minions. You play the Senjin, just a nice taunt, it's pretty fast. It's funny that you play more taunts now than you used to play. It's a very good 4-drop just in general, like you could probably play Yeti, but you prefer a Senjin because most people play, it's a much faster pace to play ladder compared to a tournament, for example. A Brawl is just an important card, especially against Handlock and Shaman. Sometimes it's very, very good against Hunter. And there's many matchups where you just can only come back with a Brawl because a Warrior doesn't have any other hard bot removal. Harrison Jones, since the double Doomhammer Shaman is becoming more popular, since Savish had a very huge recent success with winning the Seed Story Cup. A lot of people run double Doomhammer, but not just double Doomhammer. A lot of people play more Shaman now because Shaman is actually a good class right now, and every Shaman runs at least 1 Doomhammer. And also Paladin is a counter deck to Warrior, and it will also help you in that matchup. Also, like in a mirror match, you will have many mirror matches. Like Harrison Johnson is a good card, and also against Hunter, obviously. So there's very many decks that are strong right now, and they all play weapons, and so Harrison Jones is good against that. At the same time, many people are playing this deck more, and you will face a lot of Harrison Jones yourself, and so you have to watch out for that. Lord Tap and Sludge Belt, just the strongest 5-drops in the game, nothing to say there. Like almost every deck plays that, even Archer decks play those, it's crazy. Hogger, mainly because it's good against Hunter. He explained that. You can also check out the stream, he's streaming this deck a lot. Yeah, that's actually the main reason why Hogger is in this deck. It is very good against Hunter. It's very annoying to remove. A Hunter doesn't want to waste removals. The thing is, it's since Hogger is split, you can't just use a Hunter's Mark. For example, you have to kill the 2/2 with a bow, and then you still have the Hogger, and you have to kill the Hogger because otherwise it spawns another taunt next turn. Sometimes you don't have an answer for Hyman, and this just gives you like another turn. He plays a Hyman, you play Hogger, and you get a taunt, so he still has to kill your taunt, and sometimes he has to attack with the Hyman, which gives you another turn, and he still has to kill the Hogger, which is most of the time a kill command. It's actually a very good card against aggro decks, especially after Sludge Belcher, since Sludge Belcher is already a very annoying card to remove. The Sylvanas, yeah, best control card in the game, since it's a control deck, you have to play it. Baron Geddon, especially very good against Shaman. Shaman is like one of the hardest counters to Warrior, so you play the Baron Geddon. The Grommash Ragnar is the standard finisher. One thing to point out is you don't play the Alexstrasza, but you play the Sarah, because since you will, as I mentioned earlier, you want to have like Despite with 1 charge when you play against Sludge Belcher in turn 5, you will just attack face all the time. You will not waste for your Alexstrasza turn before you use your combo. You will just attack, since you have so many weapons and much damage, you can afford it, and you don't need Alexstrasza. I personally like to play the Alexstrasza because it gives you heal against aggro decks. Once you stabilize with taunts, you just heal yourself up. I didn't use it like offensively but defensively, but apparently Isera is a better late game card. It just gives you, like, also against decks that grind you out, like druids and stuff, it gives you more cards, and it's extremely hard to remove. Most people don't play faces, that's why in my opinion, why Isera is strong in the first place is because people don't play Faceless, except Handlock maybe. It's very difficult to remove this card. It's like a 4/12. Once it's down, it's like how you win also against control decks. So I agree with that. Since you have the taunts now, you probably don't need the heal from Alexstrasza, so it's a very good list. Probably like a perfect list. Some cards you can add is probably like Black Knight. You can remove Harris and play Black Knight or stuff like that. Play a Spellbreaker instead of Sanjin, but overall it's a pretty perfect list. And if you wanna get that legend rank in the last 3 days, I would recommend to play a deck like this. I will probably try to present another very solid deck for climbing. I hope you like this week's deck tech, and I'm gonna show you some games as well. So see you in the games.